All right, check this out. So in this video, what I want to do is I'm going to go through exactly how I would build out my own meal plan if I was going to go back into a fat loss phase right now. Before I do that, what I want to do is explain a bit of the meaning of this photo, why this actually matters. So if you haven't seen my other videos before, I basically finished up about 6-ish weeks ago. I got to here. This is me on the right. And then I finished up a 40-ish pound, I think a little bit over 40 pounds weight loss goal. So this was me on the left here. This was me November 2023. And we are now April 2025. So November 2023, 4-month cut, okay? All intuitive based, all habit based, no tracking, didn't weigh a single calorie, single food. I didn't know how much protein I was eating, didn't know how much fiber. I was eyeballing 100% of the food I ate, okay? And this got me down to, from 215 here, I'm 240, and I dropped down to 185, all habit based, okay? Went down to 185, maintained 185 to 190-ish for 9-ish months, something like that. And then this past winter, I did this cut for 12 weeks. So I did this one for 3 months. So 3 months went from 185-ish down to 172. And that's when I got to this photo. And I got to around, I don't know what that is, 10-ish% body fat, maybe a little lower, not sure. But leanest I've ever got. And the difference is habit-based, intuitive approach on the left, no tracking at all. On the right, what I did is I used what I've designed and created called the MacroIntuitive Protocol. So it's a systemic blend of macro tracking / like meal plan based approach, something that's very structured, rigid, and measurable. And then I blend that with an intuitive habit based approach still. And the way that I do that by default is 2 untracked meals per week. So other than those 2 untracked, what I call free, 2 untracked free meals a week, everything else is structured, tracked perfectly. So it ends up being like, depending on how many times you eat per day, ends up being around like 90 to 92% of your meals across the week being tracked, weighed, and put on the scale, like perfectly. Okay. So that's what I did here. I wanted to test out because it's what I use with my clients as well. And I wanted to see like how lean can I actually get like this, right? Like how hard can I push this? Because a lot of people think you have to just track macros or eat a meal plan and everything has to do that. Everything has to be 100% perfect to get reasonably lean. Sure, you can, lose a little bit of fat with intuitive eating, blah, blah, blah. It's true. But how far can you go? And I don't think you can get this lean. Most people, the vast majority, myself, I don't think I can get this lean using a habit-based intuitive approach. I don't think that's possible. That's my personal opinion. I think you do need to track because us as humans, there's too many tricks playing on your mind, especially when you start to get this lean, that you have to measure everything. You need to know exactly down to the gram, the calories, the macros, how much protein, fiber, carbs, fats, everything, right? You need to know that. Now, do you need to know 100%? I don't think so. And that's what I was doing here. 92%-ish, whatever that ends up being. I think that's the best way to do it. Now, that's what I did, okay? So that's kind of the rundown. And I'm 6 weeks post this photo now. So I'm similar levels of leanness, held on pretty good, but also getting a little more flexible with my food for sure. What I wanted to do is basically go through on this video exactly what I would do right now if I was going to get into another fat loss phase. Like say, because I'm 178 to 180 right now, so I'm up like 6 to 8 pounds from this photo. Now, a lot of that is going to be glycogen, water, maybe a little bit of muscle tissue, not much yet because not enough time for that. Food in my digestive system. Like there's a lot of things that contribute to that, probably a little bit of fat tissue if we're being honest. All of that together will accumulate into the total 6 to 8 pound increase that I've seen over the last 6 weeks since this photo. So if I was going to cut today, start today or tomorrow, and I was setting it up today, this is what I would do for a meal plan. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do here. So this is Chronometer. So this is the macro tracking app that I like to use. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build out a meal plan, and I'm going to use, this is going to be very, very simple. It is not going to be a situation that is going to optimize micronutrients or the minerals from that perspective. It's going to be entirely from a calorie / macro based fat loss approach. Okay. Simple. Okay. And I'm going to go through exactly how I would do this. You're not going to copy this, but there's pieces of this that you could probably take and apply, I hope. And at the very least, you can kind of see my process for how I would do this. Okay. So let's go through it. So first of all, I'm going to have to set my macros, and actually let's get this guy out of the way. Let's do that right here. So what the heck? Okay. Get that picture out of the way. So for tracking macros, my go-to, so I think I hit 170, 177.4 pounds today. My favorite is to multiply that by 12 to 14. So for me, let's do the math on that quick. So take middle range. So let's go 13 because I'm not sure if I'll need 12. And 14 is a lot less aggressive. If I was going to go into a cut right now, to be honest, I would want to be relatively aggressive. So 177.4 times 13, 2306. So this actually aligns perfectly. So I would just do the same thing. I would just be like, okay, let's pick the same one. So I know that this got me to the level of leanness that I wanted. Let's do that again. And that's times, so we'll basically just do 2300, okay? So start with protein. 1 gram per pound of body weight is typically where I'll start with, plus or minus a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect, but that's like a good base to kind of start with. So 177 grams protein. Well, let's just round up to 180. Protein on a little bit on the higher side while you're dieting can be really helpful because it's very filling and it's quite expensive for your body to turn into body fat. So we'll err on the side of higher when it comes to that. In regards to carbs, we'll do carbs third because I want to make sure our fat is appropriate. That's actually really important. So what I'll do there is I will actually do 2,300 cals times 25%. So what is that? That's 575 divided by 9 cals, because there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. So that's how we get that, because this is 575 is total calories. And if there's 9 calories per gram of fat, we'll do that division. It gives us 64, rounding up 64 grams of fat. So that's probably about where I want to be. I might push this up a touch higher, but let's see what we got for carbs, because for me, I blow past my fat a lot quicker than my carbs. I don't eat a lot of, I eat a decent amount of carbs, but I'm not this person that eats tons of carbs. I can very easily eat a lighter meal that is like veggie and protein heavy. So it's, for me, it's usually the fat that I blow through. So usually I'll err on the higher side with fat, err on the lower side with carbs. So that's just something for me personally that I've noticed. Let's see what we've got for protein. So how many calories it basically takes. So 180, there's 4 calories per gram. 720 cals, and then we know we have 575 cals for fat. Okay, so 575, that's 1295. Hopefully you're keeping up with me here. This is the most important part. I just want to set the macros here. Hopefully it's somewhat useful. I've done another video on this, but do this and then we'll build the meal plan. So 1295 cals, and then what was our total, right? 2306. So what we do is we go, or we're doing 2,300. So 2,300 flat minus 1,295. It's 1,005 cals for carbs. And then we divide that by however many calories per gram are in carbs. So that would be 4, 251. So this should all equal exactly the macros that we need. Okay, protein, carbs, and fats. Okay, so 2,300 cals. Perfect. There we go. So that's, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take chronometer. So let's plug this sucker in. If we go to settings, go to targets, macro and energy targets. Here we go, protein, carbs, fat. So now we can set it. So let's set 180 protein, 251 carb, and 64 fat. So it should equal, 2,300 calories. And then down here, custom energy target. We want this to match the calories that it spit out there for us. So 2,300 even, boom, we're good to go. You can see the percentage split here, 31, 43, 25. So I would run this myself personally, and actually we'll put in the foods and kind of see where I sit, because if I blow past my fat really easy, I might push this up closer to 70, and then the calories that we use up here will take away from carbs, but we can come back and do that if we need to. So macros and calories are set. Let's add some food. So I'm literally just going to use the food that I would always eat. They're very, very similar. So for breakfast, I'll show you what I do. Buckwheat. This is my carb source. Okay. So what I'll do is, typically for me, especially dieting, I'll go somewhere around 45 grams. That's where we'll start. This is how you can kind of, you'll be able to edit this, right? So you kind of just set your baseline. I know my numbers, so that's why I can run through it. So I know for me, when I'm not dieting, but I would still have buckwheat, but it'll be higher. It'll be like 55, 65 grams. So 45 is what I was running last time. So that's easy. Protein, what I'll typically do here is I will actually go extra lean ground chicken, and this is going to be a little bit fattier, so everything else for the rest of the day is typically a lot leaner. So this is my fattier meat source I have at breakfast for it. I almost do a full pound. I'll go like 3/4. So yeah, so it's around 340. So 340 grams. See how much fat I get? It eats up 37% of my fat for the day. So Not ideal, but my next couple meals are pretty light. So you'll see how I play this. So we're already got 41% of our protein, which is a huge help. So carb source with a bit of fiber, protein, some fat. Now what I typically do is very, very simple. I'll put in some kimchi. This won't take up too many calories. And I forget exactly what I'll do here, but let's start with 50. That's kimchi, and then what I'll do is I'll put on Frank's hot sauce. Now this won't have any calories, so it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't normally track it because it has no calories, but I just want you to see kind of the recipe that I use. And then what I'll do is I will do one fruit, and typically I'm doing an apple in around 180 grams. Perfect. So that's pretty much it, and then I just salt it. Super simple breakfast. And yeah, 732 calories. That's about where I want to be. A little bit higher on the fat, so that means we'll be a little bit lower in the fat for at least lunch, and then we can use up whatever we got left at dinner. So let's go to lunch. That's what I would have for breakfast. Super quick and easy. Microwave the buckwheat, and then I'm frying the ground chicken super quick, literally like under 10 minutes, and I'm good. And I can cook it fresh. I don't even have to prep it. So for lunch, I would go chicken breast or typically shrimp. This is cooked. This is weighed cooked. So I should be good with around 150 grams. Yep, so that'll leave around 60 grams left that we have to eat at dinner, because I'm going to be eating 3 times a day here. Okay, lunch protein done. Now I won't be doing probably any carbs. Well, we'll see what we got left over. I do love Brussels sprouts, so when dieting these are great because they are so filling. And I was doing them pretty heavy. So like it's a massive meal, like 300 grams is huge. So lots of fiber. It should show us our fiber. Yeah, so I get 12 grams of fiber from that. Insane. So super filling. And you get a bunch of protein, I think. Yeah, 11 grams of protein. Already, that alone, super filling meal. And then what I do is now it just comes down to the sauce. So I'll go, how do you spell bruschetta? It's this sauce that I get. The macros are super solid on this. So I'll probably go 50 grams on this, maybe a little bit less. So we're just kind of guessing there. And then, so that'll give us some good flavor. I'll be salting that meal as well. I will probably put on Frank's. Like when I'm dieting, I just do Frank's for everything. Because it's no calories, and it adds some, oh my goodness. Adds some salt, or adds salt, adds some flavor. Boom. And then we have a bunch of carbs left over. This is how I always am. I just don't have that many carbs. What I'll do is I'll have another apple, or I will have kiwi. This is exactly what I did last time. If you know, we'll just say one, whatever, that's fine. Yeah, so fruit, a little bit of fiber, sauce for flavor, fiber and carbs, very low cal. I mean, it's not super low cal, but it's a veggie. You know, I like to go veggie and protein heavy, so relatively lean lunch. And then high protein here with 150 grams cooked chicken breast. So that pretty much covers all our bases there, and it's going to be a pretty low fat meal. So that leaves a bunch of fat left for dinner. I like to leave a bunch of my calories left for dinner, and as you can see, I have over 1,000 calories left. So dinner. So dinner is going to be typically chicken or fish or shrimp, and it'll probably be similar. So let's see. To get my protein in here, I'm going to need probably 170-ish grams. Oh, way too much. So let's go 150. Yeah, so there we go. So that hits 179. The only thing is I was doing Brussels sprouts twice, and that's going to put me over. So I'll have to go like 125. Yeah, there we go. And then let's add in Brussels sprouts. I would go Brussels sprouts. Let's go 200 because I don't think I'll need as much. See, I have so many carbs left. So that's where I can go back and use some at lunch. But I'll also throw in a snack here that I like to have after dinner. I like to leave a little extra. So we got our protein, we got our fiber and some carbs. And then what I've been doing is cream of rice. Cream of rice is simple because I can just microwave it really quick. So cream of rice here, make sure it's grams. And with this, I'm typically going like 50 grams. Cream of rice dry. Here we go. There we go. That's why that was it cooked. This is it uncooked. So I'll put that in the bowl, add some water, put it in the microwave, 4 or 5 minutes, done. Okay, so we got carbon fiber, protein, and then we're going to need sauce, which again, I just make it simple, man. Yeah, I just do the same sauces. So I'll do Frank's. So we have pretty much a full meal here. Let's look at our calories. So a couple grams over on protein, not too worried about that. Although we could pull back a bit on the chicken breast if we need to. Fat, we got quite a bit left. Carbs, we still have like 38% left. And total calories, we have almost 600 calories, 550-ish calories left. So This should be good. Sometimes I would put, if I have room, then I will do sweet Thai chili, which is a delicious sauce. I always have it on hand, but it's very high sugar. So, and usually I'm putting around 20 grams depending on how much I have left. Since I have so many carbs, that shouldn't be a problem. Now, my wife makes me pumpkin pie filling, but the only thing is I won't have it saved here. So, I wonder if they have a version of it here. Pumpkin pie filling. It's literally just pumpkin pie filling that she cooks in the oven, and then I put it in the fridge, let it cool down. So good. This would actually make sense. So we'll use this as a placeholder for now. This is fine. But I have like a homemade version of exactly the recipe she uses, and then I count one serving, which is somewhere around here. And it ends up being, I think, 250 calories, so this is 333. Typically what I'm aiming for here is, of course, we want 100%, but what I look for is anywhere within 2%. So 98 to 102, we are going to be just fine. As long as all three targets aren't 102% too, right? Like we don't want all of them overshooting. So that snack, and then what I would do is I would add in, I don't know if they have these in the States, they might, but these Made Good bars are really good. And one bar, 24 grams is 100 calories, which is wicked. So yeah, we should be good there. And then I have a little bit of fat left. So what I would probably do is I would actually just add bruschetta and then bruschetta mix here as well. So that brings us a lot closer. And then carbs, yeah, we should be good. What I would do for carbs is maybe just add a little bit of buckwheat at dinner, at breakfast. So 55. There we go. We're getting a lot closer here. So this brings us a couple hundred calories or so. Brings a little bit too high, so we'll bring down protein here. There we go, 178. I'm good with that, 99%. Carbs and fat, we still need a little bit more. So what we'll do is probably have at snack, we can probably fit another apple, which would be good. Okay, so that brought us a little bit too much. We're going to need a lot less, like half an apple or whatever that ends up being. Yeah, there we go. 101%. So I'm good with that. Yeah, one sec. Let me pull back. So let's drop this. Drop this again. To be honest, I might just have to pull this so I can just delete this. Let's add that back in. But we'll do kiwi. That's better. Bang on. There we go. See, it's all about just doing the math until you get it. There we go. So we got kiwi, Made Good bar, pumpkin pie filling for a snack, kind of like a sweet dessert at the end of the night. And then we still have a bit of fat left. So what I would probably do, let's kind of take a look. So fat's going to be low at dinner. Fat's going to be low at lunch. Fat's highest at breakfast. So you know what I would do is I would literally just pick maybe lunch because it's going to be the leanest. I'm going to have the snack after dinner. So lunch, I'm going to have a big gap between lunch and dinner. So at lunch, I would just add a little bit of olive oil. So let's go 3. There we go. Perfect. So that's pretty much our meal plan there. So what I would do is I would take this breakfast, write this out in a Google Doc or print it out or something. This lunch, same idea. This dinner, and then this snack, and then I would just follow that every day. And that's exactly what I basically did, right? So this is actually pretty much my meal plan. The only thing is I didn't follow a meal plan. I still tracked my macros, but it just ended up being pretty much the same foods, like the same meals every time. The thing that changed was sometimes the apple was 180 grams, sometimes it was 200, depending on how much fats I had left. Maybe I added some almond butter to the Made Good bar at the end. Maybe I already hit my carbs, so I didn't have my kiwi. Do you know what I mean? So there was minor adjustments because I needed to hit my macros and not go over them every single day. So sometimes I'd have more carbs, sometimes I had more fat. Sometimes I was like, holy shit, I'm way low on my protein, so I got to have a huge bolus of protein here at dinner. But the actual food sources were pretty much the same. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it. Hopefully that was relatively smooth. I'll try and cut out a bunch of the extra time so you guys aren't bored. But that's kind of the idea if you want to kind of see how I would go through this and build out 3 meals plus a snack. I'm having the snack with the third meal. So it's still basically 3 meals. It's just the third meal is bigger. And then if I was trying to get back to this level of leanness, that's literally the way I would eat. And I would literally just start that tomorrow, rock and roll, have all those food sources handy. And it's ultimately like not even that many different food sources. So keep it simple. And then just weigh myself every day and just watch to see the body fat roll off. If you have any questions on this, let me know. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions in regards to setting up your own meal plan, setting up your own training plan, whatever, below, and I'm happy to help reply. And or you can literally just DM me. My DMs are always open on Instagram at I am Tim Walcott. helping people there every single day. And then if you're in a situation where you want some one-on-one guidance and some a little bit more personalized hand holding, let me know and we can talk about coaching. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this.